Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Joined Sunday morning, as always, by my younger brother Christian. Christian, how are we this weekend?
Not too bad, mate. Yeah, it was a good night last night, wasn't it? Watching that game, absolute chaotic. Obviously, what we're jumping on to talk about. But
Yeah.
yeah, what about you, mate? How are you?
Yeah, no, really good. I think it was a very fitting end to the Champions League, to be honest.
Yeah,
The best team, in my opinion, by a distance, won it convincingly. Record win, wasn't it? I mean, 5-0 in a Champions League final.
and deservedly as well.
I mean, it could have been more, let's be
Yeah,
honest. Inter Milan were destroyed by Paris Saint-Germain last night. We're on it to talk about it. How have Paris got to this point, what it means for the rest of Europe, and sort of what PSG look like moving forward. And I want to talk
scary in a word.
yeah, I mean, fuck me, yeah. So let's get into it, Christian. They finally
Yeah,
get it done, PSG. They win the Champions League. The chairman has wanted this for a long time. He's gone down super teams. He's gone down younger players. He's gone for some workhorses in the past, like Ghana Gay and these things. It's just never happened for them. They lost the final in the COVID one to Bayern, a very close one, 1-0 to Bayern. And
what
they
is this
probably should.
hoodoo that everyone always loses the first as well?
Yeah. So, you know what? Let's go straight to you. Obviously, you're a City fan. You had a similar sort of way, really. Well, obviously, they've been probably a bit more in Europe than you. At City, obviously, came into it maybe like late 2000s. What is it like getting that first one, and how can you sort of explain what some fans who will have experienced a lot of failures with very good teams, by the way?
Yeah, mate, there's no feeling like it. I think getting that first one over the line is so important because they can go again now. They've gone down that route of the super players, and it feels like they got rid of the greedy bastards that were bleeding the club dry. We'll come into certain names who were meaning on that one. And I think he'll have been watching last night. And I think they've got the winning formula. They've got in these young, hungry lads who are very talented, by the way. Some names to just shout out straight away. We'll get into it properly, but Doué, man, I've not seen. I think we're all hyping Lamal as well at the moment, but you've got to seriously look at that boy because a Champions League final, 2 goals, I know one was deflected, but the performance he put in, he's mature beyond his years. So it can't be understated how important getting that first one over the line is because you come up against these teams like Real Madrid and this aura like bullshit conversation that you'll come up against, and once you get over the line with that first, that then becomes a bit null and void because you're like, well, we can hold our own now. We can come to your ground, and if we've got the better players and we genuinely are better, we go in with that belief. There's no aura anymore. So it's huge, and I think, to be honest, the way they are set and with the age of their players, they're in a great position going forward. They really are.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difference, obviously, with City sort of won it at the pinnacle of some of their players age-wise. Yeah. They obviously you've gone on to lose some players from that team. Obviously, De Bruyne this summer was the best player in that team. So, obviously, looking at this team now is probably a really good segue into talking about PSG and how they're set now with, in my opinion, one of the all-time great managers. We're going to do Enrique in a bit more detail. Firstly, let's talk about the PSG and the age of the team. PSG last night, I've got the stats in front of me, 24 years old, average age of the starting lineup last night. And Inter were completely the opposite. They were an average age over 30, which showed in athleticism and stuff like that. But the thing is with this, you mentioned on Doué and you mentioned maturity. They look confident for a young group. They look like they've been there before, which they haven't. And they are proper. We talk about potential all the time. And what we do is, and I hear it so much with the fan base of United, who I seem to battle with constantly, talking about potential and raw, and there's a player in there, and I get all these buzzwords. No. Desiree Doué has turned up in a Champions League final at the age of 19 in his first season as PSG. He is potentially going to go on to be one of the best forwards, wide players in world football. That's potential. Potential isn't just being 18. Potential is about being 18 and 19 and showing it on the biggest stages. Desiree Doué last night was outstanding. Forget you mentioned one goal's deflected. His touch, his balance, the way he receives it in tough areas where the touchline's like another defender. And Inter couldn't get near him. I was so impressed with Doué and all of them, to be honest. But Doué being the youngest, I mean, wow. What a performance.
I think, for a team that has gone through what they have, and what I mean by that is, like, you mentioned the rebuilds that they've had, and they've tried every single formula and nothing seems to work. They've had the super players that we thought could take them over the line.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, it was the young, hungry guns who had no fear last night. They went into that game and they were like, as they have every single game, they went to Anfield. They did Emirates. They go in and they're just like, we're better than you. We will overrun you. And they did it last night. And unfortunately, Inter Milan, mate, what we found with PSG is sometimes they've slowed up in the second half. And they I don't know whether they get a bit complacent bored. Maybe it is the age of the squad. Last night was relentless. And from minute one till the final whistle, they did not stop. They had their foot on Inter Milan's throat and they would not give in. And Inter unfortunately fell a crop. I felt like that performance has been coming in every single round.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to happen in Villa. At Villa Park when they absolutely decimated him in the first half. We thought, my God, how big's the scoreline going to be? And I felt like last night, it unfortunately Inter Milan fell a cropper, but you can't really say much against them. I just think PSG were that good, deserved winners, and I'm really excited, like you say, that some of the players in that squad, what they can go on to do. I mean, they've legitimately got the best midfield in the world right now. I think that's pretty much undebatable. I
think, look, let's go into the midfield, Christian. We can touch on most of the team, but let's talk about the midfield. Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, and Jan Neves, who they signed in the summer. Enrique knows how to build teams. He knows how to get the best out of people. And he has an identity that he's never, ever changed from being the Barca coach. Now, what he's got in there, in them three players is Fabian Ruiz was amazing at the Euros for Spain as well. He's 29. He's coming into his prime now. He's got Vitinha, who couldn't get a game at Wolves, by the way. Just shows you what a great coach can do. And he moulds these three. They complement each other brilliant. Vitinha last night. But to your point, Christian, Vitinha was the best out of the three last night. But Jan Neves was the best against you in the group stages. Jan Neves was the best against one of the Villa or Liverpool ties. And Fabian Ruiz was the best against Arsenal. They complement each other perfectly. Nice blend of athleticism. But you know the thing, Christian, they all can receive it under pressure and on the half turn. All three of them. This isn't about workhorses. Do you know how hard they work? Did you watch that? Did you come away from that last night, Christian, and go, I'm going to check how much distance Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz and Jan Neves covered? Because you don't care, because they never lose it. So you don't even know. Nobody's even bothered. Did they run 10K? Did they run 8K? Did they run 9K? Who cares? You know what we do, and my club particularly, we sign Ugarte off them. They could get him out the door quick enough. Fuck this. If Ugarte was there last night, he'd have been clogging that midfield up, he'd have been moving slower, and he'd have been losing it more. What do? They ship him to United. Again, we're just facilitating exactly what a top club wants to do. They bring in Jan Neves. Now we've got three. You try pressing us. Come on, Inter. You try pressing us. Liverpool, you want to do it at Anfield? Yeah, good luck. You're not going to get it off us. Brilliant from Enrique and Paris, and obviously we'll come to the front three in a minute. But what have you got to say on the midfield, Christian?
No, Alex, you're so right, and you mentioned something important. I think how press resistant they are because of how good they are on the ball, how calm they are under pressure, makes them almost impossible to beat sometimes. When all three are on their game and they're not losing the ball, it is next to impossible, because you can, even if you try and press them, you are risking just getting caught in behind, because they will wriggle out, and once they get it to them three loons up front, you are in serious trouble. I mean, Kvaratskhelia and Doué, once they get on the ball, Jesus Christ, you are in deep trouble. Technically sound players, insanely quick dribblers. I think the thing is, obviously teams are going to have to work out a way to try and beat these guys, and I'm sure someone will work it out. But Enrique is, for me, he's up there with one of the best coaches in the world, and he's he's created this side, which I think is going to be remarkably difficult to actually beat, because you're going to need a seriously good midfield to come up against them. It's not good enough having a good press. And I tell you what, there'll be certain teams that might try this. Real Madrid, buy all the super stars you want. But I tell you what Enrique has done is he's got players of ability level of superstars, but he has them working like Trojans. Whereas you'll get some teams who will buy the superstars and they'll all just be individuals. And that's why you will never beat a team like them.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can't wait to see how this pans out. Obviously, Real Madrid are in Galactico mode again. Barcelona seem to be rerunning the La Masia stage, and Paris Saint-Germain have stripped it back to signing younger players, hungry players, not of the level of a certain guy that we're going to come to in a minute. But just before we move on to Enrique and Mbappe, I think that the thing with the team that's so unique, Christian, is that most teams reach the summit, i.e. trebles and Champions Leagues. They reach that with like, we've done it now. However, he's 31, he's 30, he's 32. Just gonna blast through some ages here. I know I mentioned the average age. There's only one player in the starting lineup, and I think even the subs last night, I might be wrong with that. I can't remember exactly who came on. I think the only player that appeared last night in for PSG that's over 30 is Marquinhos. And he's 31, by the way, and he's never really been a supreme athlete. So Marquinhos is going to be good for 2 years. I'm just going to go through some of the others, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with, you mentioned the front three. Doué, 19, Kvaratskhelia, 24, Dembele, 28, Hakimi and Mendes are 26 and 22, respectively. Pacho, who was brilliant, by the way. I've never seen that guy recently. Ecuadorian centre-back. I thought he was fantastic again. 23. Fabian Ruiz, 29, is the eldest, and Vitinha, 25. And João Neves is, I think he's 22. I think I've not got him on here, but I think he's 22. And then even your subs, Christian. Gonzalo Ramos, 23. Barcola, 22. Donnarumma, we've not even touched on Donnarumma, the best goalkeeper in the world by a distance, 26. So they've reached the summit, and they're looking at, okay, Marquinhos.
They're nowhere near the peak.
Nowhere near the peak, and it is scary how good they could be if they keep Enrique around. My word. But Christian, let's talk about.
I've just got a quick question for you before we go on, Alex. Right, so I think you're gonna. I don't know if you were gonna lead on to this anyway. My apologies if you were. I was just gonna ask you, Kylian Mbappe. Right.
Yeah.
I was just gonna talk. What do you think if he'd have? You sent me that clip last night, which I'll let you elaborate on.
Yeah.
Do you think if he'd have stayed around, that this PSG team would have been the same daunting prospects? Or do you actually think, because of his work rate and his ego and the problems that come with Mbappe, do you actually think they wouldn't be as much of a horrid outfit to come up against?
It's hard to say exactly if they wouldn't have gone on to win it. My gut feeling is they would not be as good. Well, this is factual. They would not be as good without the ball. That is factual.
Yeah.
What the statistics tell us, and look, you can't blame Mbappe, particularly with Madrid not being up there this season. But you do look at this and you go, right, well, Madrid won it last year. They damn near won the treble without him. He goes there for free. The team he left gets over the hump and wins the treble. They've scored 150 goals. I've just got something to back up your point, what you're insinuating here. Last season, I don't know exactly how many goals they scored. Let's just look at Dembele, right? Dembele this season, this is just league goals. Dembele scored 21 league goals in 29 games. Pretty solid return. I know he's got 8 Champions League as well, so a very good season for Dembele. Last season, Dembele with Mbappe, 3 goals in 26 league games. Kylian Mbappe got 27 in 29. What does that tell you is, well, we have a focal point in Mbappe, but we're all geared up to get him his stats.
Yeah.
What you look at last night is Dembele, they won 5-0. Dembele didn't even score. This is what a great team does. And I want to talk about how this might look for United with Fernandes and this. How are we going to replace him? This is what you can do if you have a great coach and a clear vision if you create a balanced attack. Because it doesn't matter who gets the goals. Hakimi's got 4 Champions League goals this year. Like, Mendes has got a couple. Like, Kvaratskhelia got one last. Doué too. It's a balanced attack of, we don't have to get someone to score 50 goals. We'd rather have 4 players get 15, everyone's got confident. Look at them last night. They weren't. It wasn't like Mbappe's the only reason they're there. It's like, we know tonight, if Dembele don't score, we can still twat these, which actually happened. So I think it's a great model for some teams to look at. And obviously I mentioned United with Fernandes and this Galactico era. Well, PSG have shown you exactly that they've had Neymar, Messi and Mbappe 3 seasons ago. Didn't get past the quarters.
Yeah.
So what do you look at now? Because you could go, well, sometimes Champions League runs are indicative of who you play. But they've beaten Liverpool, Villa, Arsenal, apparently the best league in the world has to offer, except Villa, obviously. But Liverpool and Arsenal beat both. And then in the final, go and absolutely destroy the team that beat Barca.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking at this, I don't know how this is going to play out, but I'm looking at this going, well, the data tells me they're a better team without Mbappe. And to quote Luis Enrique, who we're going to come to in a minute, he said, this is the biggest big dick comment I think of all time. I think we're better in attack and defence without Kylian Mbappe at the beginning of the season. And he goes on to win the treble, by the way. So
yeah. So who can dispute? Who can dispute? I'm not. So, well, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not arguing with Luis Enrique. And yeah, the stats back him up anyway. So he's proved. He has proven his point. I think the things with Mbappe, you make perfect point in. Does he make the players around him better? And I think undoubtedly we know the answer to that. I think you need a very particular side to make Mbappe work within it. Yes, he will always score because of his insane individual abilities. He is ridiculously fast. He's a good finisher. His movement's unbelievable. However, France had Giroud, and that worked perfect, right? If you're playing a Vinny Jr. next to him, no. That's not going to work, and I think they're finding that out, to be quite honest. And they're going to obviously going to have to make this work. But I think this is going to be manager after manager down the line, and this is going to be like, right, this is going to be a tough one to crack because one of the best managers in the world, has pretty much told you it's hard to get a best team out of one of the best teams in the world when he's in it. I think the thing is,
you make a fantastic point with Giroud. I was going to mention.
I think the thing is as well, like PSG, if you look at the players around, the way they play would not be anywhere near the way they play if Mbappe was spearheading the attack. Because if you watched anyone play with Mbappe in the team, it is ball straight through the middle, a focal point to Mbappe, always looking to him and looking for his runs. Now, that is not how PSG play. They absolutely swarm you. They run in all different directions. As soon as they get the ball, Kvaratskhelia do a split. It is unbelievably hard to defend against it. Now, I don't think he would make that any better because he just demands the ball.
He wants it on the shoulder, the last defender. That's where he's very threatening.
Which is what Real Madrid are doing.
Look at that brilliant third goal last night from the Doué goal, his second, PSG's third. Dembele drops in, receives it, back heel to Vitinha, opens the whole pitch up. Mbappe would not have done that play. Mbappe would be on the shoulder of the last defender asking for a ball over the top or inside the left. Yeah. And then obviously as soon as Vitinha breaks, then you've got Doué and Kvaratskhelia either side. There's no Mbappe clogging it up, demanding the ball because he wants to cut in and shoot every time. Is Mbappe better than Dembele in a vacuum? Yes, of course he is. Yeah, however, you're seeing the difference. Mbappe always talks about, I want a Giroud. Well, mate, you're meant to be one of the world's best players, and you're saying you can only play off a big 6'4" lump who occupies the centre backs to give you space to cut in and do your one thing that you want to do. Well, Dembele is showing you that Dembele's not even a 9. Do you know what I'm saying?
Alex, what does that say? You basically, you're one of the best players in the world, but you want a sacrificial lamb next to you instead of one of the other best players in the world. Well, why do you want that? You know what I mean? No other best player. Messi would not say, "Oh, I tell you what, I'd love Chris Wood next to me because it'll be great for me. I'll get more space. He can just give it me, and I can do what I want." No, he wouldn't. And it'd be like, "No, I want Neymar and Suarez." You know what I mean? It makes no sense, Alex. Right.
And also, I mean, you mentioned the film session with Enrique and Mbappe, and I seen it a while ago. Obviously, this was Mbappe was at the club. Based on the dialogue, you can gauge that it was probably after January when they knew he was going on a free, because Enrique said, "We know you're leaving. Leave out the front door with your head held high." if people haven't watched it, go and just have a look. Luis Enrique and Mbappe, and he talks about Michael Jordan and Luis Enrique. They're in almost like a film room with a still behind them. They were looking at, I think they were preparing for the Barca game. Yeah, so it must have been quarters of the last season or the semis, whenever they played Barcelona. And Luis Enrique goes, I believe you're a massive fan of Michael Jordan, right? And I mean, who isn't? Obviously, MJ is the all-time, one of the best, if not the best basketball player of all time. You know I like basketball. And what he said, do you know what Michael Jordan did the best? He led from example by being the best defensive player on the Chicago Bulls team. Now, normally, obviously, you don't watch as much basketball as me, Christian. Normally, your best player, they guard the worst player at the other end to save energy, to shoot 30 shots a game. Okay, you Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan didn't do that. Michael Jordan he won Defensive Player of the Year in 1988, and he was in the All-Defense team 9 times in his career. And Enrique went, Michael Jordan was the best at both ends. And what Michael Jordan could do, he could sit in the dressing room and go, if I'm playing defense, you can play defense. So what does Enrique say to Mbappe? He goes, well, apparently you admire Michael Jordan, but you don't want to press. You want to stand there, you want to score 50 goals a season, apparently. Well, what I'm saying to you is, if you press, what will Barcola do? What will Dembele do? What will Ramos do? If you're leading by example, that's what I want you to do. And Mbappe sat there, like, obviously we can't see his face, but he doesn't respond. Enrique says, look, you are leaving, but if you buy in, they will buy in, and we have a fucking machine. This is actual, I'm paraphrasing, but that's actually what Enrique said. And obviously, PSG did not get over the hump last season. I can't remember how their Champions League panned out. And then look at this season. You can imagine Enrique sat there with Doué, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia saying the same things. You three lead by example. And then when Barcola comes on, he's going to have to press. I'm not taking any shit. You don't want to press it off. Simple as that. Obviously, Mbappe, so I thought it was fantastic from Enrique, and proof's in the pudding this season.
Yeah, 100%, Alex. No, agreed. Them players you just mentioned, they have bought into his ethos, like that. This is what they are doing, and they're making it work. And it was much easier for him to mould them because the players they are younger players. They're hungry and they want to prove themselves for him. They've not got ego issues or anything like that. I think if the same manager goes into Real Madrid, this is where I have sympathy for Ancelotti. And to be fair, Xabi Alonso next year, anyone that goes in there, I think it doesn't work. Because I don't feel like that. I don't feel like you can go and say them things to Vinicius Junior and Mbappe and they actually pay attention. They'll sit there and do exactly what Mbappe did, won't say anything. Mbappe's probably thinking in his head, yeah, fuck off, mate. I'm going to Madrid. I'll be winning Champions League. Fuck off, cock. And look what's happened. That's what he was thinking. That's what he was thinking. Because otherwise he would have responded. He was just being arrogant. He thinks he's the best player in the world already. He probably thought, I'm bigger than PSG, mate. I'm bigger than you. We'll watch you succeed. Yeah, but look what happened. And the thing is, mate, I think it is incredibly difficult to make players who have ego issues, and especially when you've got more than one in a team, crikey. Like, I think your best manager ever, Alex Ferguson, said this, didn't he? Where you've quoted it a few times, saying we can carry one, but obviously the other players will make up for it in the team. But if you're carrying one, you need someone else, maybe another 2 players, to cover more distance than just they need. They need to cover up for that player that you're carrying. So yeah, you could have a Ronaldo messing around with it, but what you'd also need is you need a Ji-Sung Park, you need a Darren Fletcher, and the problem is these clubs like Real Madrid, they're going to find it is remarkably difficult when you have too many of them players. Look at PSG. We've seen the model that did not work at Paris, and they've gone away from it. They had Messi. Like my thoughts on Lionel Messi. It was a stage of his career. It was not Messi's fault. He physically couldn't do. He physically couldn't press like he once could. He had to play a certain way. However, Mbappe was lazier than Messi in that Paris team. Mbappe's a young lad. And Neymar, obviously, I know he had his injuries, but he was similar. So after he got the Paris move, he sort of went the same way as Mbappe. Just give me the ball, I'll doss around with it. They knew this formula wasn't working. They've completely switched it up, and look at them now. And this is a lesson to all, you talk about your club. Obviously, this podcast is on Man City, Man United. I think a lot of clubs need to look at this and they need to go, this is the winning formula now. We don't need these fucking star-studded names who carry an ego. Or sometimes, look at your club, Alex, these non-star-studded names who carry a fucking ego. No, you need to do your due diligence when you sign a player. Don't be signing any idiot. Check his personality. Is he a fucking winner? And is he someone that will work hard? And if he's not, don't sign him. Doesn't matter how good he is. If he's not willing to work hard, look at Mbappe. Mbappe is one of the best players in the world, but he's not a hard worker. Like you said, he left Paris. Paris win the treble. Joined Real Madrid. Marginally missed out on a treble. We're seeing what's happened there. You know what I mean? The proof is in the pudding. This is what teams need to look at.
Exactly. No, I couldn't say it any better myself, really. And I totally echo your thoughts on team building and looking at personalities of players. Desiree Doué was signed from Rennes last season. Nobody had heard of the guy a year ago. Obviously, Paris did. They probably played him in Liga and then thought, fuck me, let's sign this guy. Enrique must have liked what he's seen. But he's coming in, and Enrique came to Paris when Mbappe was basically chairman, manager, captain. Do you remember holding him to ransom? I'm going to go to Madrid on a free. I want a signing on fee of this, and I'll stay for 2 more years. Honestly, what I bet Paris fans are looking at this. We should have let him go in 2021 to think we got Enrique in then. Obviously, Pochettino was just getting absolutely belt to arse by them 3 up top. And now look at it. There's one guy who runs that squad, and you saw it last night. They were chucking Enrique up. They love the guy. The fans love the guy. And as a neutral, I love Enrique as well. Obviously, we'll come to a couple of other things with Enrique. But so chuffed for him and to show the model of how to build a good squad.
Alex, just on that, you need a manager that can handle these egos, because regardless of whether Mbappe wanted out or whatever, I honestly think this would have come to a problem. Say Mbappe wanted to stay. I tell you what, he would have had to have severely changed his ways to have played under Luis Enrique. Forget you being one of the best players in the world. You would have had to have changed, because Enrique's not the kind of guy. Look at Pep, the best managers. Pep goes in at Barcelona. Huge fucking names that he was like, you're not doing what I want, get gone. And we're going to win without you anyway, so it doesn't matter. Enrique would have done the exact same with Mbappe. And this is what the best managers do. And this is what we want now. You know, we look at the Premier League clubs, and you need to handle these certain players. If they've got an ego problem, get them out the fucking door. Man United and Ruben Amorim. And to be fair, that's why I said to you the other week on the pod after the Garnacho news, and he came out and he said, yeah, he can fuck off. He can find another club. I like that. These fans are idiots that are backing, Amorim's got an ego. No, he's the manager. His job is to handle the egos, you fucking fools. That is literally his job. What do you want? Do you want the players running the dressing room? Why don't we make Garnacho player manager then? See how that fucking turns out for you. You know what I mean? This is what you want. You want managers that have the power, and the players carry that respect for them. And you can tell in that PSG dressing room, he's the fucking guy. They all listen to him. They've all bought into his methodology, and they're executing it with absolute precision. And you saw that last night, what they did to Inter Milan, who are not, I tell you what, Inter Milan, they are not a team you beat 5-0 in a fucking Champions League final, mate. My team played Inter Milan in a Champions League final. We were lucky to get over the line. We were crawling over the line in the end. And to be honest, if they had got an equaliser in the last minute, they would have beat us. We were out. It was either get over the line or we're done. And we saw what PSG did to them. That is young guys who are hungry but very talented, and who are ultimately working harder than the opponent. If you've got players of a higher ability than the opposition, and they're working harder, that is when you see a 5-0 scoreline against another top club. So, congratulations, Paris, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in the coming seasons. I'm obviously hoping it's not too ridiculous, because my team's in the Champions League next year. It's strange, Alice, just to bring up. So we played them. We did a watch along for it earlier on in the season, and obviously, they were just getting established, and Luis Enrique, it's a long process to get players to buy into, and not even to buy into it. They can buy into it straight away, but understanding how they need to use their energy, press at the right times, not burn themselves out. And at that time, we were 2-0 up, and me and you were both questioning this side. However, what they've gone on to, it seems like after that Haaland goal when we went 2-0 up,
Yeah.
I don't really know what happened since then, but it's been a completely different team. Since they turned that game around, they've never looked back, and they have become an absolute force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, you're right. It feels like it maybe towards January they started to settle into what Enrique wanted. The midfield three was new. They didn't really have a quote unquote DM destroyer. And
Kvaratskhelia.
look at them now. Nobody gives a shit. Obviously, Kvaratskhelia came in January as well, so you had to bed him in. I don't believe he played against City, did he? I think he was cup tied for the group stages.
Yeah,
Look,
I remember against City. I don't know. He didn't play. No.
he didn't play, did he?
God.
Yeah, man. I think that he's getting his players in now. This is my way, and I tell you what, I can't wait for them to potentially play Real Madrid next year because they will be gunning for them.
God.
And I tell you what, Enrique will show him up for not pressing. You mentioned about Messi going there at the stage of his career, and when you get to a certain advanced age, you do sort of go, well, he is amazing. So Argentina show how to do it with Messi.
Yeah.
Yes, he's gonna walk around the pitch, but we will do the work of 11 players between the other 10.
Mm.
Right? And he'll win us the game. He'll win us the World Cup. He'll win us the Copa America. That's what you do. But when they're 35 years old, playing 7 games in a month in Qatar, you accept that. To your point, Mbappe's 25, 26, mate. Why are you walking round? Because I tell you what, if you're walking round, what do you think the boys behind you are going to be doing? They're going to be walking round. So Enrique's absolutely bang on, by the way, and I'm so happy for him personally. Probably a good segue. Shout out to the PSG fans for that amazing tifo last night at full time of him and his daughter. Obviously, people don't know, Luis Enrique lost his daughter 6 years ago to bone cancer. It's a heartbreaking story. 10 years ago, when Enrique won the treble with Barcelona, his daughter was on the pitch with him, and they put a Barca flag in the halfway line. The tifo is a image of that, re-upped into PSG colours. It's absolutely devastating, and Enrique's look on how he sees his life and the things he says about his daughter is empowering. Nobody can relate to it unless you have unfortunately lost a child like Luis Enrique. But to talk about his daughter in the way he does, it's inspirational. I'm sure, I hope a lot of people might sort of hear what he says and find comfort the way he says. Why are you saying that I've been unlucky? She came to live with me for 9 years. She's still here in spirit, and he's obviously doing her proud and his family proud. I'm so happy for him personally. What a guy, man! And to come through heartbreak to that level, nobody can relate except people who've experienced it. And I think he deserves the world, honestly. And I'm sure, look, I think a lot of people will look at him and be inspired by his story and the things he says about his daughter. But shout out Paris fans, that was an amazing tribute to the great manager. He's won 2 trebles, by the way. He is up there now. That puts him up there. He sits at the table now with Pep, with Ancelotti, with Fergie. He's up there. Like, no. I mean, you want to go on Enrique and stuff like what? What's your thoughts on him and sort of as a person as well?
I mean, mate, what a great character. I like him as a manager anyway because of how good he is and the reasons we've just spoke about. But yeah, personally, I mean, the strength of that guy and the way he talks on his daughter, the beautiful words he said, I should be so proud of him. And yeah, it was amazing from the Paris fans, and it's great to see in football when you get them moments. And he'll treasure that for the rest of his life. I mean, Paris are going to hold a special place in his heart, and the fans for doing that for him. I look forward to seeing where it can go with them. I think they can build a great relationship, especially now they've gone away from that stupidity where they were just splashing money, willy-nilly, and it was just chaotic. I think it's exciting times, man, but what a guy, and I'm so happy for him. I don't think it could have happened to a better guy in football. So no, I'm pleased for him, and I'm pleased for Paris as well, because this just proves to any fans out there, my club, I support Manchester City, for anyone watching. I saw my club without money. I've seen my club with money. Obviously, you experience better things. You can go on better away days. All them things that come with it. You watch better players. But it's not just about money. It's not just about spending money on anyone. This shows it is more difficult than that. Look at Paris. Look at City. Look how long it's taken to get to the summit.
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain have they have tried to buy the Champions League and it didn't work, and they kept doing it. And they've learnt from the mistakes. They've gone away from it, and they've actually been smart. They came up with, like you said, I don't know this factually, but it must have happened. They must have seen Ren, the young lad Doué, play for his previous team. They're like, we're going to go and get him, build him, make him a player that's going to be a star for us. We don't need to keep doing these daft signings, 200 million for Neymar and things like that. No. Players that aren't really hungry, because once you give them that money, that contract, they start getting injured. They're not bothered anymore. They have shown you how hard it actually is. So let's not make these lazy narratives. If football was as simple as just spunking money up the wall and the trophies follow, then Man United would not be finishing where they are. It's a mess because you've got to handle recruitment with absolute precision. And if you don't, you can end up in a fucking mess. You can be $1 billion down the line. Look at Chelsea. Not as bad as United situation, but they're nowhere near. They've got a £1 billion squad, but what is it really worth? What is that squad really worth? And this is what I mean. Please don't make them lazy narratives, and actually look what they've done, and other clubs should follow suit, mine especially.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of Prem teams just fucking toss money into thin air continually.
I think we're now used, Alex. We laugh at all the Saudi clubs, and we go, they're like a bit of a retirement fund. Well, what are we? We're not even retirement fund. We're just the fucking silly fund.
Yeah,
German clubs see us coming, and they're just like, charge them that, they'll pay it, and Kunku.
But it does take. It is also important to have that leader in Enrique, and he obviously is in charge of the squad building. And people talk about Spain now and how good Spain are. Enrique built the foundations for this Spain team. Like, for people who don't know, Enrique was manager of the Spanish side for Euro 2020 and the 2022 World Cup. He lost. He went out of both of them on penalties. What he did was, when he came in, for the Euro 2020 squad, Enrique selected a 24-man squad for that tournament that had no Real Madrid players. He actually cut a load of high-profile players from that squad to assert control over the dressing room and the team. They got to the semi-finals. They lost to Italy on pens, who were the eventual winners. They then went on to beat England on pens as well. Enrique put the foundations in. Now, the coach that's come in now is their under-21 coach, who they've promoted after Enrique. He's reaping the rewards. You sprinkle a little bit of greatness in with Lamine Yamal. Enrique will be doing this with Spain. He's done the same. He did the same thing with Spain. Barca was slightly different because Guardiola had already put the foundation in for him. Don't forget, when he came into that team and they bought Suarez, and he dropped Xavi for Rakitic straight away. But people go, well, that team was great. But these subtle things you do, and you go, and you talk about what top managers do when they make big calls. The Spanish media and Catalans were going, why are you playing Rakitic over Xavi? He was doing that because Messi was progressing into his late 20s, and Rakitic could cover Messi, and Messi will win me the treble. So he did that. Xavi couldn't do the job of Rakitic, even though Xavi was better. Same principle we spoke about with Mbappe and Dembele. He did it with Rakitic and Xavi. This thing with Enrique, he has proven it now 3 times over. Okay, Spain never won anything, but tournament football can be like that. A shootout against Donnarumma, you lose, you're regarded as a failure. And this all went on around the time he lost his daughter 6 years ago. The Euros was in 2 years after that. He did all this at that time. Like, what an incredibly strong-willed person. And look, this is what great managers do, and it's a big thing. And I'm looking at Amorim now, and I'm going, I want to see now that this is your first opportunity to get a foot in the right direction. Because Enrique, you pick Enrique up and drop him any club in Europe, right? He will have that vision from minute one. Whether they win stuff, but I'm telling you, first season will be step forward, second season will be another step forward, and then third season treble. And that's what great managers do. So shout out Enrique. I think he's.
Alex, I think currently. I think currently you've got to go off this previous last season and the things we've seen and what he's done with a young squad. I think you've got to say, on form, he's the best manager in the world currently. I don't know that's up for debate. Bear in mind, Michael's manager is Pep Guardiola. I know what he has achieved. I know people could say you've got to look at his previous accolades. What I'm saying is, on form currently, I think the respect he demands off a young squad and what he's getting out of that squad, and the way they've raised their game post that Manchester City game, what they've become, I think you've got to say, wow, fuck me. So it's going to be interesting to see what teams are going to have to do to beat them next year. I think it's a bit of a shame. What, like you said, we didn't get the Barcelona v Paris final, but fair play to Inter. Obviously, they got it done. It's a bit of a shame because that would have just been absolutely chaotic. We know how good Barcelona are going forward. We look at Yamal
and feel a little bit robbed. And look, this it's. Do you remember?
It'd have been it'd probably been 5-4 to Paris.
Yeah, but do you remember this? It's a weird one, isn't it? Because you go, well, Inter beat Barca, but you're trying to look at it on paper as a fan, as a neutral, and matchups make. It's the famous boxing saying, isn't it? Styles make fights. And look, PSG, athletic, young side, better, well drilled than Barca. Barca leaked goals in stupidly against Inter. That wasn't going to happen last night. PSG, they're brilliant. You see it on goal kicks. Did you notice something actually last night, Christian? Kickoff. PSG had kickoff, right? They booted it straight out of play. They didn't even try and hit the wing. As in, they didn't even pass it back. They literally just... Do you know why they did that? To send a message with the press immediately. You watch them from that. So when out of play, whoever was playing right back, forgive me, I can't remember, for Inter Milan, he gets the throw in. PSG are set up immediately. Dembele's there. Kvaratskhelia is there. João Neves is there. And that's a message to them going... You're going to experience this now.
You're not breathing. Yeah, you're not breathing tonight.
And what did you see? Every time Jan Sommer had a goal kick, you saw it. That Dembele was parked right in the middle of the two centre-backs. And as soon as that goal kick went that way, they immediately all shifted and put all the pressure on one side of the pitch. They're brilliant.
Yeah, they are brilliant, Alex. And not only that, you see with the players coming off the bench, they come on and they've got this is what we're saying about Enrique and what he's got off the squad. It's not just the starters. It's not just what he's done to Doué and made him a superstar. If you look at the young boys coming off the bench, they have the exact same method in their head. They're doing the same thing. And it's so hard to deal with. We look at the best Liverpool team that were ever doing it when they had Salah, Mane, Firmino at the peak. And they weren't as athletic as these young lads. But they were still causing chaos in the Premier League, even at that time. Do you know what I mean? So with these boys, it's scary to think what their ceiling is because of how young they are and what they could go on to achieve. But Mel, fair play, mate. And it was a great match of football to watch. It was a great match to watch what they were doing.
Enjoyable,
We'll
shout out Mayulu, by the way. I think that's how you pronounce his name. The young lad that came on and he scored and didn't know what to do. Did he? Really, what a moment! That's like say James McAtee coming on and scoring in the Champions League final for City, and like what a moment for him. I don't even know the guy, but I just thought his celebration was brilliant. Just before we wrap up, Christian. We will do the Ballon d'Or another day, a separate episode. Obviously, now that they've won the Champions League, I think the award is going to go to somebody there, and I don't think that's unfair, to be honest. Although I do think Yamal deserves massive credit as well to be in the running for the Ballon d'Or. Just a shout on a guy here, Achraf Hakimi. I don't know this for certain. I'm just going to say it. He has to be the first defender of all time to score in the quarters, the semis, and the final of the same Champions League run. There's no way that's happened before. What a right back he is, and could he be in the top three for Ballon d'Or? A right back. We saw Rodri win it as a defensive midfielder. Vinicius when he won it. When he was in the running a year ago when Real Madrid were there, and obviously Rodri beat him to it. You know what the thing was with Vinicius? He scored in the quarters, the semis, and the final, so he has to win it. Forget everything else. Hakimi's done that from right back.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're going with Vinicius should have won it because he scored against a scruffy goal in the final against Dortmund. He got probably a pen in the semis or something in the quarters. Yeah. What about Hakimi, Christian? Quarters, semis, and the final from right back.
He's putting his name in the hat. I mean, the same club, Real Madrid, was saying about Carvajal. They said if Vinny doesn't win it, Carvajal should win it.
Yeah.
Well, what are we saying about Hakimi then?
He wouldn't be my pick. I just think he deserves a massive shout out.
Mate, I hear you, yeah. He deserves his flowers. What a player. And I think they've made these smart investments. It's like, obviously at the time, they bought Nuno Mendes and they bought Hakimi, big transfer fees. And we were like, it's Paris, what they're just doing PSG signings, like really random positions, spending too much money. But now we look how they play and how they attack, and the way Enrique's moulded the team. Them two players are so important for the way they play, and teams cannot fucking breathe. Like, if you've got, imagine how knackered the defenders are, that you're getting pressed into oblivion. You're dealing with Doué, Kvaratskhelia and Dembele, who are severely athletic. They're going to press you to oblivion. But then, you've got overlapping players in Hakimi and Mendes, who are probably the best wing-back. Well, they are the best wing-backs in the world. Yeah. It's beyond difficult. When they are on their game, and the midfielders are on it completely, it's so difficult to play them. And without some sort of drop-off, I can see them winning it again, to be fair. And this is the thing, are they going to go and reinvest again? They should do.
Yeah, well, they've got a clear idea of what to do. But yeah, like, look, shout out PSG. I think the fans were fantastic as well, by the way. In every single tie I've watched this season, all game, you hear the ultras. And look, I think Enrique said it, they're our 12th man every single night. And look, you all deserve it. The manager deserves it. The players deserve it. The chairman has spent a lot, but I suppose he deserves it as well in a way. He has put plenty of money in, whether it's oil money or whatever it is, I don't know. But
he's throwing enough oil at the wall, some of it'll stick.
That's it, yeah, and it has he deserved to do it. Brilliant. Thanks, Christian, for talking about that. The season has wrapped up now. We've got the Club World Cup coming up in a month, but the domestic season is finished now. PSG win the treble. Can't wait to get into the transfers coming up. But shout out PSG, man. Brilliant achievement. Great team to watch. The best team wins, which isn't always the case.
Yeah, man. Big up PSG. Big up Enrique. What a thing.
Good stuff, mate. Thanks for joining us, Christian. Thanks for listening, guys. If you've enjoyed it, hit a like, subscribe, comment what you think about Paris Saint-Germain. Can they go on and win more Champions Leagues after getting the first one? Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.